Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair. My early videos were...
Hello and welcome. I am Black Scarab Z, but you can call me Michael.
bad. I didn't really get the whole reviewing thing yet, and I feel bad saying that I reviewed certain books when they weren't really reviews. Therefore, in order to replace The Hitchhiker's Guide as the series I have to finish, I'm going to start Literary Lair Revisited, where I will take one book that I reviewed between January 2012 up until October 2012 and re-review it, and bring it back up to my personal standards. And today we start with Doctor Who and the Auton Invasion, which, if you saw my Top 10 Literary Lair episodes video, was my first review. Let's begin. The cover is very interesting. It has the Nestine Consciousness, Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, and the Third Doctor. It has the title, and on this edition, a little note telling us that there's an introduction by Russell T. Davies. It's an interesting story, which includes a funny bit where he said that his interest in the novelization started back when he tried to steal a copy from his friend, who always remembered to ask for it back. Anyway, on to the book. The book begins, oddly enough, with the Doctor's trial on Gallifrey, although it's a bit abridged from the original script. But it does include the humorous part where the Doctor refuses the choices the Time Lords give him for his new face. He's too old! Too fat! Too thin! Too young! That won't do at all! And then they send him down to Earth, where Sam Seeley finds the Doctor's TARDIS as he stumbles out, and a strange glowing meteorite, where we have the Third Doctor oddly wearing the First Doctor's coat in the illustration. At least it isn't Jamie. Stop showing me that! Anyway, UNIT is called to investigate, and the Brigadier has them guard the TARDIS, since he knows that it's the Doctor's ship. The Doctor, meanwhile, is taken to the hospital as the Brigadier interviews Liz Shaw for the position of scientific advisor at UNIT. She's very skeptical of the place, calling it a James Bond outfit. Her skepticism leads to the famous quote,
"We deal with the odd, the unexplained, and living on Earth, or even beyond."
The Brig explains the case of the meteorites to her and says that they were deliberately aimed at Earth, and not a freak accident. The UNIT soldier who took the Doctor to the hospital is Captain Monroe. Nice to see Lieutenant Monroe got a promotion. He talks to Dr. Henderson, who says that the Doctor is a very strange case indeed, and they call the Brig, who wants to come immediately. However, he's expecting Patrick Troughton. Dr. Henderson goes over the x-rays and is convinced that radiology is playing a trick on him, while pathology is convinced that Dr. Henderson is tricking them, due to the Doctor's strange body chemistry. While he argues on the phone, a porter calls up the reporters to storm the hospital because there is a man from space. I don't know why they got all worked up about a copy of an old Honeymooners episode. The Doctor awakens and immediately wants his shoes, because that's where he keeps the TARDIS key. However, he soon falls back into unconsciousness. The Brigadier and Liz arrive and push to the reporters to find the Doctor, and the Brigadier sees a man he's never met in his life. The Doctor awakens again and recognizes him, and then he falls back asleep. The Brig asks the Doctor who he is, and the Doctor says that he's who he claims to be, citing the business with the Yeti and the Cybermen. He borrows a mirror from Liz and remembers the trial on the Forster generation. The memories cause him to faint again, and the Brigadier leaves, and orders that the Doctor to be taken to UNIT as soon as he's well. The Brigadier, however, assumes that it's someone impersonating the Doctor. Meanwhile, a strange man is in a phone booth and glares at everyone around him. The Doctor requests his shoes again, and when he gets it, takes the TARDIS key, and then is kidnapped by the strange man from the phone booth, and escapes capture and runs for the TARDIS, but he's gunned down by a soldier. Unlike in the Doctor Who movie, however, it just grazes his head and he puts himself into a self-induced coma. Captain Monroe worries about how the Brigadier will react to the news that they might have killed the Doctor, and the frustrated military leader arrives and begins to go over what he knows about the Doctor, and comes to the conclusion that a change in appearance might not be the strangest thing the Doctor's ever done. Harry Ransom, a former sales manager at a plastics factory, returns to the factory to investigate the odd activity that has happened and to collect his things. It's revealed that the strange man who kidnapped the Doctor's name is Channing, and he's working for the Nestine Consciousness. A man that works there, Hibbert, is under hypnotic control of Channing, and tells Ransom to get as far away as he can, but Ransom doesn't listen and gets himself chased by an Auton. The Doctor then awakens and plans for an escape, but first, he needs clothes. Unit finally gets the TARDIS into the unit lab, and General Scobie, the liaison officer with the normal army, comes by to check up on things. The Brigadier invites Scobie for a drink and they leave the lab. The Doctor then goes to steal clothes and takes a bath in a hospital to avoid getting seen by the doctors. He steals a suit and cape and then steals a car, a style that he would later grow fond of. He drives off to Unit HQ after his TARDIS detecting watch points him in that direction. Meanwhile, Captain Monroe finds a meteorite and tries to send it to Unit HQ, but is intercepted and stolen by an Auton. The Doctor makes it to Unit and bluffs his way in by demanding to see the brig. He gets in, and the Brigadier tells the Doctor of the business with the meteorites. The Doctor agrees to help out in return for the TARDIS key, which the Doctors had given the Brigadier. Meanwhile, Unit finds Ransom, and when they leave him in a tent, an Auton comes in and disintegrates him. Then the Doctor decides that they have to visit the plastic factory. An Auton is sent to a poacher's house to retrieve one of the meteors, but he's recalled before he can find it. They go to the factory, and Hibbert shows them one of the Autons, and that they're being played off as mannequins. Meanwhile, Scobie is interrupted during a phone call by an Auton version of himself, which knocks him out. The second Scobie turns the military against Unit, and the Doctor finds the real Scobie in a wax museum. The second Scobie goes to Monroe and takes the meteorite, which he gives up willingly, thinking it's the real one. The Doctor convinces Hibbert that Channing is controlling him, and it helps him out of the hypnosis slightly. As the Autons mount their attack, much like it was in Rose, breaking out of store windows, they murdered everyone that got in their way. The Doctor creates a device to destroy the Nestine and goes to implement it. Hibbert breaks free of the hypnosis and attempts to destroy the Nestine, but an Auton disintegrates him as well. The Doctor uses the device and all the Autons are destroyed, including Channing, who turns out was an Auton. The Nestine attacks the Doctor, and Liz turns the machine on and kills it. In the aftermath, the Doctor attempts to leave Earth, but the Time Lords have taken away his dematerialization circuit, and he's stranded. The Doctor reluctantly agrees to be Unit's scientific advisor in order to use the tech to try and repair the TARDIS. When the brig asks for a name, he tells him Smith. John Smith. And that was Doctor Who and the Auton Invasion. It's probably my favorite of the novelizations, and the book that got this show started. If you want to know what would have happened without the Doctor, listen to the Doctor Who Unbound audio story, Sympathy for the Devil. It shows a 1997 where everything that Unit faced off with the help of the Doctor had no Doctor to face off against. Next week, I haven't done a Star Trek book in a while, have I? The Brigadier and Liz arrive and push through reporters to find the Doctor and the Brig and Liz arrive and push through reporters to find the Doctor, and the Brigadier says that he's never met the Doctor before, because he looks different. The Doctor awakens and recognizes the Brigadier, In the aftermath, the Doctor attempts to leave Earth, but the Time Lords have taken him away. His